Well, folks, it's Bob here at Sorrento Hill. Yeah, I'm not wearing a hat today. I'm working inside and I'm doing some work up overhead. And wearing a hat when you're having to work up overhead is a real pain because you can't see what you're doing. So, at any rate, just thought I'd show you a little thing I did. Deb doesn't think it's so little. She wanted some kind of hanging for there by the dryer, so when she takes stuff out, why she can hang it. So what I did is I made this little deal. It's two pieces of 2x4. It's I cut some 1.5 by 1.5 pieces on the top of it. You see kind of the profile where I took and put it on my saw and cut angles in it to kind of round it off some so that hangers will fit on it. And then if she doesn't want it, all she has to do is boom, and it stows away. You want it back up, boom, there it is, back in place. Take stuff out of the dryer. It's got space. She could probably hang, I don't know, 20 items or so off of it. And it's just I cut a 30-inch piece of 2x4 off, took the edges off of it, cut me a couple pieces 1.5 inches wide. This is 17 inches, couple little pieces, couple hinges, and boom, we've got some little storage there. This particular piece of 2x4 had some real interesting grain effect in it, so all I did is just put some clear poly on it. And I've got the materials to start making the shelves here, and I'd really like to be doing that. But instead, I'm working on another project that I really don't like. But, you know, sometimes it's not all about doing what you like, it's doing what you need to do, right? All right, so what I'm working on that I really am not crazy about doing is I'm up here, up by the ceiling, and what I'm doing, I'm putting these rafter vent panels up. And what these do, it's interesting because these are just they're just little foam panels. They're made out of seems like the same kind of material they make egg cartons out of, only I think egg cartons are thicker. And these panels go up in the ceiling, and they go like that, so that there's a vent space in here, and it's maintained with these little dimples. Maintain that so that you can't move your insulation in there and get it smashed up against the roof. But what that does, this goes right up against the roof like you see there, and it provides an air space for ventilation. And then what I'm doing is up here, I drill a couple 1-inch holes, and when I do the ones on the other side, I'll drill some 1-inch holes, and those line up with the channels there, and then it goes all the way up, and the panels are up against the soffit at the end there. And what I did is when I closed in the eaves, I've got panels that come about 1 inch, 1.25 inches or so from the bottom of the roof decking. And then I've got stainless steel fine mesh screen over the stapled to the roof decking and to these little panels that you see here. And then I sealed around it with clear caulk, and that's to keep bugs and mice and squirrels and like from getting into my insulation. And that way, all the way from the back of the house all the way up through to the front, and I've done the same thing on the back side, and that way you can get some air movement there. It'll prevent condensation from building up on the roof, up on the roof decking. Keeps the insulation gapped away from it just a hair, so you got that air space. It also make it quieter. And the thing that's interesting, I've got an infrared pyrometer, and I read the temperatures of the roof decking on an 89-degree day. And over here, where there's no foam, it was reading 119 degrees, and on the foam itself, where I've got that, it was 109, and you can actually feel a little difference. So that's what I'm doing. It's a pain in the neck because I got to keep moving my ladder around, and that's the pain about high ceilings. This is an 8-foot ladder, and these are 12.5-foot ceilings, so I'm way up near the top of the ladder and stretching up to reach up there. I was positioning my ladder so that it was in between two, so I could do 2 of them, but then I got my head right up here and then having to lean back and forth, and that was tearing my back up. So that's what I'm working on right now, and I'd much rather be out in the workshop building something, because I really enjoy building something, or I'd rather be out there. I've been doing some work on trimming some of the undergrowth that's up near the house, and getting ready to cut down trees and stuff like that. I'd rather be out doing that, especially when it's a cooler week out here, but I really need to get this done because the plan is next week I'm going to be buying the first batch of my insulation, so I can get insulation up in here, because it's kind of a big deal to get this insulated. I wish it was already insulated. Someone asked me, so why didn't you do this before you built it? Well, that would have been ideal. It would have been great to put the insulation in before I put in the wiring, and before I put in any lights, and before I had furniture in here and all that. But as I've said before, we're building out of our own pocket, and some days the pockets are deeper and some days are shallow, and so we just, as we have money to buy things, that's what we've been doing. And the big push was on getting the place to where, instead of being out in the RV, we were in here. And so we accomplished that. We've been here for about 2.5 months now in the house and enjoying it. And I think I'm going to do a sit-down video with Debbie to talk about that over the next day or two here, if I can get her to agree to be on camera. You don't see her much because she doesn't like the camera being pointed at her. So it is what it is, right? So I'll show you what I have to do, what I'm doing to accomplish this. So the first thing I'm going to do is drill some holes. And I'm drilling through 2 2x10s here. So it takes a little bit, especially when I can't get real close, because that's as far as the ladder goes. This is one of those things where if you have a helper, man, it goes so much faster, because you don't have to do all the up and down. It's the up and down that's the real killer. And drilling these holes is a pain in the neck too. The bit that I'm using is a 1-inch hole bit, and it has a little threaded attachment on a little threaded point on the end of it, so that it'll dig in. But if you spin it too fast, well, it just tears right through. If you go at the right speed, it kind of pulls its way through. But once the threaded end of it pulls the threads loose, then it doesn't go through as quickly. Especially when you're standing here and kind of off balance, you can't really push it that well. And these things are 23 inches by 48 inches. And fortunately, in some places, I've got screws and nails coming down through the roofing that kind of helps hold them in place. And I'm not worried about putting a whole lot of staples in it because the insulation, just enough to hold it in place, because the insulation will hold it once I get that in. So that's all there is to putting those in. All right, so that's what there is on that. I'm going to get back to it and get the rest of these put in. There's 70 in a box. 70 in a box will carry me about to where the transition from the dining room to the kitchen. It's going to be fun in some places like where I've got my chandelier. That's going to be fun. So I'll work around that because I'm not pulling it down. So back to it. Like I said, this isn't one of those fun jobs that I really enjoy doing, but it has to be done. And then if all goes according to plan, next week I'll be getting my first batch of insulation and putting insulation up in here. I get the ceiling insulated, then I'm going to have to go underneath, which is another thing I don't really like doing, going underneath the house. But and insulate underneath there. You know, it'd be much more fun to be riding a motorcycle or out in the woodworking shop. But it's one of those jobs that has to get done, so I'm going to get back to it and get it done. Again, this is Bob at Serenity Hill. Thanks for stopping by and checking out our videos. Hope you like and subscribe. Hope you enjoy what you're seeing. And we will check you on the next one. Bye now.